I'm here to talk to you today about one of the most exciting taxes for cities and local governments, namely the property tax. And it is a tax with a lot of potential still left for Sub-Saharan Africa. In fact, if you look at the data, it makes up about 2% of GDP for OECD countries, but still less than 0.5% of GDP in Sub-Saharan Africa. So let me tell you why this is such an exciting tax for city and local governments. Firstly, it is a relatively fair tax. Think about all our fast-growing cities across the continent. As people move to the cities and property prices rise as a result, that is publicly created value. There's not anything any single individual did to create that rise in value, but in fact it was created by all the people moving to the city and the supply of property not being able to keep up with the demand. Similarly, if your local government invests in a road or in a public park or in street lighting, that too will create a rise in property values. But again, that property value had nothing to do with the property owner's intervention, but actually was financed by the local government and financed by other people's taxes, again publicly created value. So it is only fair to capture some of that value back to be able to invest it into the public. Similarly, if that investment happens, and this is the second reason why this is a fantastic tax, if that investment happens, there is a direct line of accountability from local infrastructure and public services to the tax itself. People can see what their taxes bring them and therefore can hold their local governments accountable for this. Thirdly, if this process works well, it can create a virtuous cycle. Imagine you have a property. There's investment by your local government, for example, in the road, the property prices rise, the local government captures some of that rise in value through the property tax. It can then invest much more into your neighborhood, creating a further rise in value, creating further ability to invest in infrastructure and services, and so on and so forth. Therefore, it can be a self-sustaining, virtuous cycle tax. Fourthly, it is relatively equitable in the sense that property owners tend to be richer, and they tend to be, in most systems, the people who pay the tax. Fifthly, and this is important for local governments, it is a relatively easy tax to administer. Most of the valuation criteria that are used for property tax, so that can be used for property tax, are easily observable. And importantly, properties cannot get up and move, so you can go back and continue to value it over time. With 2/3 of African cities yet to be built between now and 2050, we're going to have, and we already have, large requirements for infrastructure and services to service all those people who are going to be moving there, but also those people who live there now. The property tax is one of those taxes that will help local and city governments to do so. But in order to be able to unleash this potential, policy and administrative reform are needed now to be able to result in cities and local governments that work.